What's up, everyone? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, The Hot Commodity, and C, joined by my own personal hot commodity.
That's me.
He's cold, so he's dressed like the Saudi Arabians do when they're presenting WrestleMania 43. Is it for? No, it'll be 44, right?
Yeah.
Uh, we are saying goodbye to 2025 and hello to the Attitude Years. We're going to pretend like Stephanie McMahon did not speak at the White House recently, and we're going to go back to when
she ain't in the Hall of Fame yet.
She ain't in the Hall of Fame yet, and we're going back to when she's pouring ranch dressing all over Trisha's boobs. I'm sure Donald Trump has watched that numerous times while he was in office. He's like, "Hey, I remember you. You were the lady who Stone Cold Steve Austin ripped his shirt off, right?"
Right.
So we're going to be covering Attitude Years Season 4, which is all about 2001. We're on Raw Is War. But before we get that, on Monday, January 29, 2001, a couple of things happened in the United States. President George W. Bush creates the Energy Policy Development Group, which is led by Vice President Dick Cheney, after there's a huge energy crisis in California, and he's scared that it's going to, go throughout the country. So he creates this new group, I guess, to help with energy. Also on that same day, he signs an executive order called the Faith-Based and Community Initiatives to ease regulation on religious charities and bolster their role in community services. So no gays allowed. It's going to be all about religion, and which isn't surprising because he's a Republican and he is very Christian based. But yeah, that happened in 01. I wonder if
isn't Dick Cheney dead now?
Yeah, I think. But it's funny because now we're dealing with similar stuff like that with people's rights and stuff like that. But this is back in 2001, and they're signing an executive order where religious freedoms, God is going to be everywhere. Yeah. So let's cover Raw, though. It's coming to you from January 29, 2001 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the hometown hero, the WWF Champion Kurt Angle, comes out and he shit talks his hometown. Pretty much says that everyone who's smart has left. He shows video footage of a hockey player who ended up joining the team again that he said last year in 2001 would come back, and that would be the only way that they would win is if this hockey player came back. He talks about the Fatal 4-Way tonight, and then The Rock comes out and he says that you want to show footage. I have footage of my own. And it's a pizza commercial that Kurt Angle starred in. I guess it was in the local Pennsylvania area. And he mocks Kurt Angle, and the whole pizza commercial is funny, saying Angle. And the commercial's I think a piece of pepper is fighting with another piece of pepper, and Angle's just watching, and he's all into it.
Definitely from his Olympic days.
Yeah. And as The Rock continues to make fun of Kurt Angle, the Big Show comes out and attacks The Rock on the stage. And later on tonight, we have Chris Benoit versus The Rock versus the Big Show versus Intercontinental Champion Chris Jericho. The winner heads to Xtreme SmackDown to take on Kurt Angle. What did you think of the commercial of Kurt Angle, his debut here for the pizza company? I thought he did pretty well. I want to buy myself a mushroom pizza.
It was funny, it was cute, but it was obviously embarrassing. I could just picture backstage Vince McMahon coming across and being we're using this.
What a knee slapper. Unbelievable.
It would have been great if they didn't tell him about it.
Yeah. That was him when he saw that. He was so excited for it. So next up we have WWF.
I picture the Undertaker always tells a story that he said he sang in the shower, and then he was like, I said shit, because now he's going to make me sing.
Yeah.
I can picture something like that,
Kurt Angle's fuck, he's going to make me sell pizzas now.
Yeah.
He's going to make me have an all.
Well, we had Austin selling hot dogs. So.
Could happen. WWF Tag Champions, the Dudley Boyz, are set to take on Edge and Christian, but Edge and Christian come out, and supposedly Edge has food poisoning, so they introduce their replacements, Kaientai. And during the match, Edge spears Bubba Ray Dudley. However, they're able to overcome and land a 3D to Kaientai and get the victory here. Should Edge and Question, I sound like my speech impediment.
Rhea Whipley.
Rhea Whipley. Toy Toy. Should Edge and Christian get a rematch for the tag team titles, though? That's my question.
Well, Jerry Lawler kind of, or not Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross kind of said, he thought this was their plan of just praying for, Kaientai to somehow get the win, and then they could get the titles from them. Mm-hmm. And it does, that kind of makes the most sense. I feel like they were wishing on a prayer, hoping that Kaientai would win so they could beat them, but didn't work.
Indeed.
Moving
on, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and Helmsley arrive backstage into Vince McMahon's office. They have their own lawyer, and they are set to sign the contract with Stone Cold Steve Austin for No Way Out. We then hear from Billy Gunn, and he gives an interview about China, and he's like, I told her to, keep going to appearances, keep, doing what you're doing, and you'll be okay even if you don't compete. So they're really making it like China is not getting back in the ring here, and Billy Gunn is like her spokesperson now for over a couple of months. Yeah. Val Venis and Steven Richards and the women's champion Ivory defeat Steve Blackman after Steven Richards pulls Blackman's leg, allowing Val to roll up Blackman to get the win. Afterwards, Blackman attacks Richards until the right to censor come out and attack Blackman, leading Hardcore Holly to come out with a fire extinguisher and blow the right to censor away. And he looks at Steve Blackman. They've been enemies in the past, but it looks like they're going to become friends now to take out the right to censor here. What did you think of the fire extinguisher moment here?
It was funny. It was definitely like an attitude moment. Basically. I'm excited for China to come back. Now that I look back, I wonder if maybe they weren't inching China out right now, because they're like kind of being like, oh, she's only gonna be around for another month or two. So
maybe they're trying to test the water.
Maybe they were, yeah.
Next, Vince is seen backstage talking to Trish Stratus on the phone about her, getting better and convalescing. And then William Regal shows up and he gives Vince McMahon some tea. And Vince is like, oh, we're going to have a good night. So Regal's kissing Vince's ass here. I wonder what he's trying to do.
Yeah, well, he's been kind of kissing his ass just in general, doing these little favors, trying to, protecting Trish and doing all that stuff. So,
damn, Vince has William Regal under his wing. Speaking of Vince, Vince comes out for the contract signing between Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he says that tonight is historic. There's a violent history between these two men. And in the interest of fairness, they have agreed that there can be no physical contact between the two until No Way Out. So both of them sign the contract. Well, we think they do. But Triple H starts beating the shit out of Stone Cold Steve Austin with the the briefcase he brings out.
Yeah.
He lays out Austin with a pedigree, and Vince is like, that's it, you're now suspended. And Triple H is like, no, I'm not, because I didn't sign the contract.
I knew as soon as he started attacking Stone Cold, I knew he didn't sign.
And then Triple H grabs a mic and says, Austin 316, paragraph 316 says, you can't touch me. So now they have the contract signed, right? If Austin wants to get his hands on Triple H, and if he wants to keep his number one contendership for WrestleMania, he can't touch Triple H. But Triple H just fucking laid out Austin. How do you think Austin's going to get his comeuppance now that he can't touch him?
And he's got like 2 months to go, huh?
No, he only has till the pay-per-view. He has to fight him at No Way Out. What they're saying is that if they fight before the No Way Out pay-per-view,
Austin right, because he's not going to fight him.
No,
WrestleMania going to fight Angle.
Yeah.
Austin, we've had similar situations like this. He finds creative ways to get back at him. Or he's just going to have to, bare knuckle it and
just deal with it. Maybe wait. I don't think Austin's just going to deal with that, though. We then get a number one contenders triple threat tag match. The Hardy Boys defeat the Right to Censor and the APA. Before the match even starts, Lita and Jacqueline brawl on the floor. Bradshaw hits Bull Buchanan with a clothesline from hell, which then allows Jeff Hardy to land a Swanton bomb, and the Hardy Boys get the victory They're going to take on the Dudley Boyz this SmackDown, and they're booking it as Xtreme SmackDown.
Yeah.
So we'll get some hardcore-esque things, I'm assuming. But glad the Hardy Boys will be taking on the Dudley Boyz for the tag titles on SmackDown instead of.
And it's kind of weird because it's not like they have some big main event planned for it.
No.
Like, it's
well,
just,
they do now, and we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
We hear from The Rock. He gives a promo about the big show, and he guarantees he's going to get payback tonight. Then we have Hardcore Champion Raven. He defeats Crash with Molly Holly. These two fight backstage. They fight in the lobby. Crash gives a bulldog to Raven on the snow outside. He pulls Raven's balls first into the tree, and then the Ninja Woman shows up and breaks a 2x4 over Crash's back, attacks Molly Holly. Raven gets the pin, and he retains. This ninja person, man, we need her for us.
Yeah.
She comes at the right moment, helping
I don't know who the hell it
Raven.
is. I'm very curious.
And we're going to find out pretty soon, but you have to wait a little while longer. But yeah, this Ninja Woman helping Raven here. We then get the Undertaker with Kane taking on Haku with Rikishi in his corner. Rikishi hits Kane in the ribs with a steel chair on the floor, but Undertaker hits a chokeslam on Haku to get the win. After Undertaker sets his sights on Rikishi, which allows Haku to hit Undertaker in the back with a chair. Rikishi hits Taker in the face with a steel chair. Taker gets busted open, and then Taker and Kane announce that. I don't know if it's Undertaker versus Rikishi in a first blood match or if it's all four of them, but we're going to see a first blood match on SmackDown. What'd you think of this here?
It was good. I'm excited for the first blood match. And yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like we don't really get like stuff like this anymore. Like now it's like it would be on a pay-per-view if they were going to do something like that. And they did more main events on Raw, I feel like, back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of like that. But
we hear from Dean Malenko, who's in WWF New York, and he's excited to see Lita. Lita takes on Jacqueline in a number one contendership match. Women's champion Ivory's on commentary.
He talks about how hard it's been for them to be apart.
No, you are a nobody. So, Lita and Jacqueline fight, but then they decide fuck it, and they both attack Ivory. The match is ruled a no contest, and you mentioned while we were watching, it's probably going to be a triple threat between the three, which I'm sure will happen.
Yeah.
We then get our main event. WWF Champion Kurt Angle comes out on commentary. We have Chris Benoit versus The Big Show versus Intercontinental Champion Chris Jericho versus The Rock. The winner fights Angle this Thursday on SmackDown. Benoit applies a crossface to Big Show, and then The Rock lays out the Intercontinental Champion Chris Jericho with a rock bottom to get the win. We now have The Rock versus Kurt Angle on SmackDown, and my question for you is, do you think The Rock's going to be WWF champion come Raw next week?
I think it's a possibility because I think WrestleMania would be a lot bigger if it was Austin versus Rock. But I mean, Kurt Angle is up there, so are we going to have somebody new at WrestleMania? We'll see.
Good episode of Raw. It got me excited for SmackDown. They've made 3 matches: the Hardys versus the Dudleys. We have the first blood match, the Undertaker against either.
It was also rare back then that we'd know fights for next week.
Yeah, and then we have the main event, The Rock versus Kurt Angle for the WWF title. We're still going to figure out like how Austin's going to get back at Triple H. Where is Trish? Is she going to come back soon? A lot coming your way. So
who's the ninja? Where's China?
A lot, yeah. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment and let us know, what did you think of this episode? Do you have any memories watching this back? Let us know. And until next time, stay safe and stay uncensored.